Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be making some unusual backgrounds with postage stamps. So postage stamps are something I used to use a lot of in my previous days of doing mixed media. And I used to buy bags of them at our local Kmart. Now, my mother-in-law very kindly has been collecting some for a while, so I had a lovely bag to play with and I was having lots of fun. I wanted to use them in some sort of way. So I decided I was going to make a background in my journal using the postage stamps, but I did want to have a focal image to start off with. So this is the amazing stencil from Megan Quinlan, and I'll put her contact details in the description box below. I just drew out around the figure with my Stabilo oil pencil and just used a wet brush to let the inky goodness from the Stabilo oil pencil bleed out. And I really liked it as is. I just did this on a piece of old dictionary paper. And then I decided I wanted to add some colour. So recently, as a bit of a present for myself, I've actually bought the full range of the Stabilo oil colours. So they're exactly the same as the black. They just come in different colours. So I've got blue, green, red, yellow, orange, there's a white, and there's also a graphite pencil. So in this one I'm using all the colours. I haven't used the green, the orange and the yellow before, and I was actually really impressed with them. Now if you had watercolour pencils, this would do exactly the same job. You could use watercolours as well. You don't need to have these pencils in particular. I was just playing with something that I'd got and then I was having fun with. So use what you've got. Same with the image. While I encourage you to support amazing indie artists like Megan, I also realise postage and costs can be really prohibitive sometimes. So you know, you could draw your own figure and do the same sort of thing, or you could stamp one out. So use your imagination. So once I've sort of coloured in my image and I'm happy with it, I'm just going to give it a bit of a heat set because I'm impatient. I wanted to use it straight away, and I'm cutting out my image. Now the one thing I need to be really careful of with this, and it's something I actually had to really think about, was when I glue this down, I can't use my gel medium like I normally would, because obviously everything on top of that image is water soluble and is just going to smudge everything. So be aware when you're doing it, like a glue stick or some glue on the back will be fine, but you can't put glue over the top because it will smudge it all. So this is my background. You can see there are lots of torn postage stamps. They're all cancelled. These are all stamps from Australia, so you can see a wild and wonderful range of stamps in Australia. As you can see, my mother-in-law has been very, very kind and given me a whole bag full to play with. And I just wanted sort of two reasons for this. One, I loved the little spots of colour that it was giving me, but also because they were still on the envelopes, it was giving me some texture in the background as well. So I'm using gel medium to glue them all down. I'm trying in most parts to have them facing the right way. In some cases I just had to turn them around slightly to fill in the space. So once I'd glued them all down fairly firmly, the one up in the top left hand corner was being a bit tricky because it was actually on a vellum envelope and it kept curling. To try and pull all the colours together, because there are some very bright colours, I'm just putting a really, really thin coat of gesso on, and I did that over the top of the gel medium. It wasn't 100% dry, so that sort of helped blend, not dilute, but because there was still gel medium on there, it sort of made the gesso a little bit more translucent. I also decided, because I sort of had that male theme to it, I want to have some text in the background as well. So it tied with the text on my figure. While I was doing this, I really liked how it was. I was going to put a quote on the page, but I still thought it looked a bit plain. Good old Niamh, you know, too much white space. So I remembered I had this awesome stencil from Stencil Girl. I think it's called Windblown Tree. And just using a Payne's Grey, I am stenciling on into the background. Now I'm being really quite light with my stenciling. I wanted to have the tree, but I didn't want this really dark overpowering thing in the background. So I'm using a Payne's grey and just being fairly light with my application, not putting too much on. So you can still clearly see the postage stamps from behind, which I wanted to still have as a bit of a focal bit on the page. And then it was just trying to work out where I wanted to put my image, remembering I still wanted to put a quote on here in some way, shape or form. So here I am gluing down my image, not using my gel medium. You could certainly put some gel medium on the back here, but you certainly wouldn't put it over the front because, as I said before, it would smudge everything. Just sticking down that awkward stamp at the top. So when I finished this, I wanted to put something else on the body, and I found these beautiful wings and this little chipboard word that says gorgeous. The chipboard's from Scrap FX, and while it doesn't necessarily tie in with the background, I just thought, I like it, so I'm going to add it in. And sometimes your decision for putting something on the page can just be you like it. It doesn't necessarily always have to tie together or tell a story together. So while often I will have a bit of an idea of where things are going and have a bit of a story to tie it all together in my head, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just random in the fact that I'm just enjoying it and it fits on the page and it works. So, you know, the gorgeous, apart from the fact that I really like the figure that I drawn in the background, doesn't really apply to anything else on the page, but I liked how it sort of had that linear effect across the butterflies. So with my chipboard, I just put a little bit of silver over the top of it just to help it stand out on the page. It is a bit tricky to see in the video, but the silver I used was a mirror chrome effect pen, so it's got quite a big glare on the page, and same with the gold here. It's a chrome effect gold, so it's just like a paint pen. And I found this quote on Pinterest: to send a letter is a good way to go somewhere without moving, I think was the quote. And my spacing was a little bit of an issue on this. I should have moved my quote over above her head a little bit more. I tried to fit in the word anything here, so I had to rub it away. Now, unlike the Posca paint pens, they're a little bit more tricky to remove from your page, but I was still able to rub most of it away and it didn't matter too much. You can see how shiny these letters are as well, so they really, really stand out. There was some spots, particularly down the bottom with that last E, where my gel medium underneath was still a little bit damp, so it wasn't quite going on the way I wanted it to, so I was trying to put another coat over it to just brighten it up a little bit. Finally, like I always do, I'm going in with my black pen and doing a bit of a drop shadow just to push the letters out from the background. I was debating at some stage when I put the tree down the background if I was going to do sort of scratchy lines with my white pen. I actually convinced myself not to do that. I'm glad I did, because it really sort of pushed everything else into the background. So I've still got those, you know, the idea of text, and I've got the idea of the postage stamps, and I've got that quote tying it all together. So I was really happy with how it worked out in the end. So if you have got some postage stamps hanging around that, you know, you don't use anymore, you don't collect anymore, and they're not valuable, you might need to have someone check them out to make sure that they're okay to use. You might think of using them in your collages as well. So they're just a lovely little extra travel-y bit that you can add onto your journals really, really easily. This is a close-up of the final image, and you can sort of see how all that gesso ties everything together, but you can still see that the little bits and pieces peeking through from the background. So I hope you have a go at trying that out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.